Finally, the moment a couple of you have been waiting for.
It's all like bing bong, Jack.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Duval and St. Johns County. The show for Jag fans by Jag fans.
You can't have a newcomer come in and steal the show.
Here are your hosts, Franklin and Michael how you say it? DeZoba. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast. Jacksonville, North Florida area, Florida, the United States. Welcome to the Jaggernaut Podcast as we lick our wounds from the end of the season. We all have to get used to the fact that the Jags are no longer in the playoffs. We have got defeated by the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. The season is over. Brother, how do you feel?
Two things. I feel good. I think the future's bright. I think Trevor's going to continue to prove. I think we got our coach. We got a coach and our quarterback. The two most important pieces we have. I like that. I'm positive moving forward. I think next season's going to be a great season. We got some tough opponents because we won the AFC South, so that means we now have to face stiffer competition, if you will. But I think we'll be up for it. I think we'll be ready for it. Hopefully, as long as injuries don't hit us too bad, I think we're going to be right in the same place again next year.
I think that's about right. I am very optimistic about the next decade, to be honest with you. At least the
trajectory.
The long-term future of the franchise has everything in place that you would ever imagine you'd have wanted to have. And we've talked about this. We checked all the boxes going into the season. And, of course, there's always the nuance, but that's where we are. We can deal with the nuance now, where we don't have to deal with the basics, like do we have a dysfunctional organization? Do we have a clown owner? Are we a laughing stock? All that stuff's in our rearview mirror. We don't have to worry about that. I fully expect us to win the AFC South. I mean, this year we were to compete for the AFC South. That was the plan of a successful season, or the barometer to which you could judge a successful season. And by that being the fact that we were in the conversation for playoffs. We did more than that. We got into the playoffs. We got a playoff win. And we hung tight with the Chiefs, who by all accounts are considered if not the best AFC team, at least top 2, maybe top 3.
Did that game bother you at all? I think the game bothers me more looking back than it does during the game. Because do you remember in the mid 2000s, maybe early 2000s, when we would go up against Peyton Manning?
Yeah. And
the games would be somewhat close.
But
we were never in it. Like, we never had the lead. We were never in it. And this game sort of felt like that. And here's this is where a little bit of my negativity comes in. They needed to play, they went to Travis Kelce. They needed to play, they went to Travis Kelce. They needed to play, they went to Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Travis. We did nothing.
Yeah.
After Mahomes got hurt, we stopped blitzing.
Right.
I think we did blitz once or twice, but all of a sudden we went to this vanilla stuff and they kept killing us. And then on offense, it seemed like the Chargers figured out a way to stop our passing attack. Those inside middle routes, Kansas City duplicated that.
That's what I was thinking they might do too.
And we were struggling. I definitely hope they go back and rewatch this tape and understand that they're going to have to come up with something somewhere for a pass rush and actually play outside. The inside stuff's great, cool, woo. But if somebody takes that away, you have to have an answer for it. Now, some could say, all right, well, if Kirk would have caught the 60-yard bomb, there's your answer. Okay, but that stuff's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that didn't cost us the game.
Well, here's the way I kind of look at it. But let's put the Travis Kelce stuff aside as much as you can, because it's the biggest problem with that game, to be sure. The issue that we have in that game is if you think about the plays that were pivotal, the Chiefs really didn't have a lot of pivotal plays, which is interesting. But all the pivotal plays, and what I mean by that is, like, I don't remember them having this amazing offensive, they weren't throwing the ball all over the place. They weren't carving up our defense. There was that one play by Pacheco where Walker got out, kind of was, jumped back and then jumped in the middle.
Right.
And then Pacheco bumped it outside and ran like 30, 40 yards or something stupid. Other than that, they really didn't have tons of big plays. It was very similar to us. I think the thing that there's three things. So you got the Christian Kirk bomb, which he should have caught. You have the what's the other one I'm thinking
Agnew
of?
fumble.
That I was going to think of something. There was another one that. Oh, okay. So there's during the Henne 98-yard touchdown drive. Foye Oluokun has a clear interception and just drops it.
Correct.
You notice that at the end of the game, their corner, that was not an easy interception that corner made, but he made it. So their guy made the play and our guy didn't make the play. And then the Oluokun, the Agnew fumble. If you think about the Kirk one would have, that catch would have put us in the red zone. The Agnew one was right there. Zone. I mean, you think about that was the play, that was the drive where Trevor broke out of what looked to be a sack, ran for the first down. I think that was also the drive where we hit Evan Ingram, and he somehow got wide open. I mean, there was all this stuff to get us, and it started with the Agnew
return.
The return. So this isn't to bash Agnew. It's just one of these games where, if it's just they talk about it being a game of inches, and you look back and you say, man, if you could just get one of those, it'd be a completely different game. Those were all three of those plays. The Kirk play probably the least of them. Because Oluokun, that would have stopped their drive and would have given us that drive right there and close to scoring position. So it's a game where you go back and you think, man, we were so close in a number of ways, and yet that was a good team. And even with the game plan that we had, which we can now talk about, I guess, and you started it. I don't know. We talked about this. If there's one thing you got to do, you got to stop Travis Kelce. And instead, they actually allowed him to set a record for the amount of catches. And if you go back, it was literally just these little dinky dunk receptions.
5 yards at a time. Yeah, 5 yards at a time.
What he does is just very simple. I mean, the guy doesn't seem like I know he's a great talent, but what I saw wasn't super talented, though. It was mainly him just being patient. He'd just sit there and then he'd turn around or maybe go 3 or 4 yards and turn around. And
so here's what he does. If you're on the left, he turns right. If you're on the right, he turns left. That's all he does. And him and his quarterback are on the same page, to where Mahomes, if he sees you sitting left, he knows he's going to turn right. So as soon as he turns, he just drops it to him, and that's a gain of 5 yards. He leans forward. That's a gain of 7, 8 yards, all at a time, and we did nothing.
Yeah.
Like, we did nothing. Not only that, man. So if we want to play with the big dogs, we are going to need a pass rush. Right? Where was Josh Allen? Where was Trayvon Walker?
I don't know.
I don't
know.
understand. Yeah, I don't understand what we got going on here. No offense, because Josh Allen's going to be back next year, and next year is his contract year. But dude, you're not the best in the NFL. You may not even be in the top 20. I mean, he does things very well. He's good against the run. He's very athletic. But when it comes to putting the hammer down, he's nowhere to be found. He's not there when we need him.
I think there probably has to be something to the fact that he may have been hurt at some point in the season and just been playing through it. I know they're saying that now about Brandon Scherf. And because it was a clear, this seemed to be the old hurt Josh Allen, though, if I'm being honest, because he was sort of a forgotten man. I mean, maybe if I go back and look at the stats, maybe there's something there, but he just didn't affect the game at all. Trayvon, the disappointing thing for me is Trayvon is what we kind of thought he was, and that's not that disappointing. I guess the problem is that he's what we thought he was now, even at the beginning of the season. So
Correct.
I didn't see a lot of improvement.
Yep.
I think they talked to him, when he's exiting the facility today, and they asked him questions and talking about playing inside, and he's like, no, I'm playing outside, kind of thing. And I didn't see the interview, but he's got the mindset that he's an outside guy. I don't know. It seems to me that, they drafted him as an outside linebacker. From the very start, they clearly said he was. And, Georgia won again. And I think they know what they're doing, the Bulldogs, and they couldn't find that. They didn't use this guy as a pass rusher. And I'm kind of wondering a little bit if one of our issues on defense is we're using guys out of position. Even today, Peterson acknowledged the fact that Lloyd is an on-the-ball linebacker, but we're clearly not using him as an on-the-ball. We're using him as an off-the-ball linebacker. And we're using Walker and Josh Allen as our on-the-ball linebackers. And I'm kind of wondering, maybe that's the problem. Why aren't we moving Walker inside and taking advantage? I don't understand a defense in which we'll take Arden Key and use him on the inside, but then we go, no, Walker's clearly a linebacker. It's like, no, this is the problem with Walker. Nobody knows what the hell he is. This is the issue. And this isn't to bash Walker or anything like that. It's to say that maybe the key is that we have a guy that is going to need some work, and we thought he would, but right now he's not helping us. And maybe
Correct,
inside it might have been a more of an immediate impact than what we got from him on the outside. So there's some things that's one thing right there, just going into the season, that I think, we kind of know. I wonder if they're going to make some changes, because, I mean, if you go into this offseason, you say, what are our needs? Pass rush. And for a team that has Josh Allen and a guy going into his 5th year, like you said, and just drafted a guy number 1 overall at that position, and not even including Lloyd, not including Muma, if you just say we're in a 3-4 and we drafted 3 linebackers and we got to get pass rush coming into this offseason, that is a blight of what was a really good offseason. That is the biggest blight.
I agree, and it is certainly nice to have that as a blight. But Jacksonville, Jags fans, we've had it before. We don't seem to be ever able, outside of Trevor Lawrence and Tyson Campbell maybe, to get the right dudes. I don't understand what it is.
I don't know. and it's hard to, you don't
And
want to
yeah,
question.
because I understand the jury's not out, so I'm not saying they're bust.
Right.
But if you're not going to use the pieces right, then Caldwell's got to go. I saw today in Doug Peterson's thing where he was defending Caldwell.
Yeah.
And then they asked him specifically about moving people around. And he quoted moving Williams to the outside. You guys are fucking rocket scientists. Beautiful.
Yeah.
You get a guy who plays outside for LA. You bring him here and you put him inside.
Here's
Just
your
think about
sign.
that. That's smart, right? I mean, then you move him outside, and all of a sudden our defense gets an uptick. He plays better.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, but something's wrong here. Something's
Yeah.
wrong here, and I expect Doug Peterson to get it worked out. Don't cut. I understand in the press conference you may lie to them, and they may throw you a softball instead of saying, "Why wasn't Devin Lloyd put in on the outside linebacker and Walker down with his hand during passing situations?" Because that's where you drafted them. You drafted them for that. That's what they did. Instead, they threw him softballs like our media does, because that's what our media does. But anyway,
Well,
we obviously got things to work on.
I'm a
So I'll
little
let you go ahead.
concerned. Well, just quickly again on Walker, I'm a little concerned that he thinks he's an outside linebacker now, because it could be that his best position is defensive end on a 3-4 or defensive end on a 4-3. And it may be a scenario where we need to change to a 4-3. I could see him being pretty decent as a defensive end on a 4-3. I know a lot of people are, I could see his pass rush, like if he improves pass rush, okay, uh, on a 3-4, it's a little harder to see. I'm almost wondering if maybe he could. We're losing another year on him, is my concern. If his true position is to gain another 10, 15 pounds and just move inside the defensive end, and because you could imagine Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, and Devin Lloyd on your edges of your defense, that sounds good to me. Especially in, Micah Parsons type role, I could see Devin Lloyd being a little bit more free to use his athleticism. Obviously, he struggles in space covering people. And if you're going to drop your linebackers, which you have to do in a 3-4, I would much prefer to drop Devin Lloyd at times instead of always, and then also dropping Walker. That seems like an odd pairing to me. So hopefully they'll figure it out. I think we're keeping Caldwell. That seemed to be very clear.
That seemed to be Doug Peterson's
And
way.
I don't have an issue with it, if I'm being honest. I mean, I wouldn't have an issue if they got rid of him either. But the truth is it's his first year. Hopefully, he's getting acclimated. The players are getting acclimated. And maybe there will be some consistency. That's one positive about that, is that you have a consistency in regards to you're not turning over your philosophy, making all your guys get used to something different that stick around. Hopefully the turnover in players isn't great either. Everybody who's here wants to stay here. So maybe that consistency can translate to a really nice start. And it doesn't have to be a scenario where, we're not asking to be the best defense in the world here. We're just asking,
To be
we need some
middle,
improvement.
yeah. Can we be middle of the road?
And
Can
like
we
you
be
said, pass rush is an issue.
Can we be a top 15 D? That's all I'm asking. A top 15. I'll take 15
Yeah.
because it's better than 23rd.
Well, it appears our secondary is not a bad secondary. We have an issue at nickel corner. If you can get some pass rush going. One of the things I noticed too that was interesting was the strategy they used against Mahomes tended to be, when we have had pass rush, it appeared to be usually manufactured. By that, you got twists and stunts that usually will break somebody loose. I didn't see that much at all There was some blitzing, but it was just adding another guy to the line. They tended, it's weird too, because they tended to, this is the type of defensive front that I would have imagined you'd go to if you were playing Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, because they kept a nice pocket around Mahomes the whole night with the idea that somebody will break loose and make some play. But it didn't matter because Mahomes could stand there and scan the field, and then if there's nothing there, he just drops it to Kelsey. So it was a bad game plan when you got a guy whose leg is hobbled. I don't understand why there weren't twists and stunts, and why you weren't really focusing in on confusing their offensive line. I felt like the way that the defensive line structured their rush made it more comfortable for the Chiefs' offensive line. And I know they've got a great interior offensive line, so maybe they thought they're just that good, and it was a waste of time to try that. I don't know what the thinking is on that, but it looked like what you said. Even though the game was close, it felt like the Chiefs never were in danger. They felt comfortable. We didn't make them uncomfortable, and those plays broke not in our favor, and therefore we lost. And the coaching staff didn't really come up with a game plan that seemed to work. So that's that. The hope is that maybe next year, you know, the staff will gel a little bit more. They'll take some lessons learned from this year and move them and translate them to the next season and make the adjustments that need to be made.
That's what we can hope. Look, and Doug Peterson's done it. So let's just have some faith. I know it's hard. Trust me. A year ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said that. But it's different. We're a different Jags. As you mentioned, we checked our boxes. So now we roll, right? That's what we do as fans. We roll. So here we go. Now we get to go into an off season. Woo! Right? Hopefully the boys can go out. They can clear their head, take a vacation, take the mistresses to Malibu, whatever they do.
I will never be. I just caught that. It took a little bit to get my brain. Let's. I will never be. I can't imagine an off season where less acquisition of outside players is sexier to me.
I concur, sir. And on that note, perfect segue. I'm going to read you a list. We're going to start at the top. We'll go down. These are Jacksonville Jaguars that are free agents now. Evan Ingram. What do you think?
Oh, have to sign him. Have to
bring him back, right?
And here's the deal. The numbers basically need to be somewhere around, everybody's saying 13. I think it's going to be higher than that. We're probably looking at around 14 million per year, I'm guessing, to keep that guy. And it depends. I mean, he wants to stay here.
Yeah. What if you offered him 10 for 3 years, but fully guaranteed the 30 mil?
Yeah, and that's where the contract. This is one thing about this offseason, which is interesting. I'm going to be very interested in the contract numbers because our salary cap situation, I want to keep everybody. And whoever is in charge, and I know Balky ultimately is in charge, but I know he has a department that deals with salary cap, the accountants, those people, they're fixing to earn their check if they're any good, because they need to find a way to keep as many of these guys as possible. At least that's the way I would be going after this offseason. All
right, so we're in agreement. We're signing Evan Ingram. Arden Key.
I'd push him to the end, and I'm not. I like Arden Key, but he's not a priority for me.
Dwayne Smoot.
I mean, it's difficult for him because he's hurt, I'd almost, I'd almost like to give him a contract. I wonder if there's a way to structure another 1 year prove it deal where it's good for him and it'd be good for us for the salary cap. In other words, let him get another year under his belt, almost like what Ingram signed with us, but just re-signed with us. And I want Smoot more than Key because I feel like Smoot is more consistent and a better run. Like he stops the run as well as the pass. So that's a guy that you can bring in. He fits well. I think I said enough. I would try to sign him if I could, but not because that's the thing. You can't keep Key and Smoot, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, maybe. Who knows? Marvin Jones.
I like Marvin Jones, man, and I know that my guess is he won't be back. That's my guess. The salary cap numbers, you want somebody more dynamic than Marvin, but you need those type of guys, man. You need those guys that if you think back, man, there were some crucial catches. And
That
don't tell me
Marvin
you didn't
Jones,
see
yeah.
Kirk drop the ball. Zay had that game where he didn't, catch stuff. I don't know that Marvin had one of those games. Now he may have had a play here and there. I'm not saying he didn't. And there's some plays that even this last game where he didn't quite make the play in the end zone that I would have wanted him to make, but I kind of felt like Trevor threw it a little short. Um, you know, my guess is that he doesn't comes back, and he's not a priority for me though. I mean, I would like to have him back as like number as a fifth wideout, but
Jawan Taylor.
I want to bring Taylor back, and
Okay.
that's changed for me
And
through this season. I just think you gotta. The guy played so good, man. You just gotta bring that guy back.
last but not least is Chris Manhurts.
He does nothing for me.
Okay. Now, we do gain almost $14 million from cutting Shaquille Griffin.
We don't
And
even
I'm
have to
pretty
discuss that. He's gone.
right, but that's $13 million we may be able to apply to one or two of these guys. So I don't know who other cap casualties will be. I don't know if we have any else out there. Rayshawn Jenkins may be a guy. I know he balled for us,
Yeah,
but his cap hit, I think, is huge. So you may restructure to
restructure.
push some of that money out and make his cap hit a little bit more Jags friendly.
Well, and that is one thing about having this culture, and that's one thing we didn't bring up in this conversation so far is the one super positive thing is that we went from being a laughing stock to now our culture is galvanized to this sort of I don't even know what you'd call it, but it's so positive right now. All the players want to be here. The community's rallying with the players. Everybody loves the atmosphere under Peterson. The the concept of going to another team probably seems. I mean, you're going to sign as a free agent somewhere. Let's say Jenkins, he's not a free agent. So, but the reality is that this is a business. And he has to understand the way they structure these contracts is you get your money up front, early on, front loaded, with the idea that you're not really expected to play the whole contract through because it becomes a salary cap issue to keep you around toward the end of the contract. But if you get to this point, then you restructure. This is kind of how it tends to work. And why wouldn't he want to restructure? Because then what will happen is it just becomes, again, it comes down to the contract and it being a tenable contract for the player where they feel like they get money up front and then the Jags can then lessen that salary cap. He gets to stay on the team that I'm guessing he wants to stay on and make another run at it next year. So that benefit of players want to be here, that to me makes it seem like they will want to They will want to have a reasonable contract, and there's no lose lose. Like for them, they don't want to try the market. They're not gonna stay. You bring somebody like Rashawn in, or you talk to his agent. I guess that's the way you have to do it. And you say, look, this is how it goes, and we want you to stay around, but in order to keep the other guys here that you love and you love playing with, we're just going to front load your contract and give you some more money, but it'll be, to me, it should be easy to restructure somebody like Jenkins and I would do that. I would definitely attempt to restructure.
Well, so that's all of them. That's all of them. There we go.
And I think it's manageable. I think we can do it. I think the thing that scares me a little bit is Peterson mentioned free agency, but I don't know. And looking back on the conversation, I'm kind of wondering if maybe he just referred to the period he was definitely of the mindset of signing his own guys. And I don't know who else you bring in, You
should always look. You should always look. Right? You should always look, because there may be some guy who finished up his rookie deal and maybe the team has too many spots or not enough spots, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he's a better backup. This is a good time for us to move on from Shatley, right? Ben Barch went down, right? We put Shatley in, and Shatley was okay. But that's just it. He was okay.
Yeah.
We got in Sheriff, right? Maybe if we had a better backup, Sheriff could have got fully healed or healthy and maybe would have played better. Because in that Kansas City game, there was a second play action. I don't know if you remember this, but Sheriff and Fortner went to the left a huge hole. Huge, like the guy lined up on Sheriff. Sheriff didn't even block him. The guy ran right in.
That was in the middle of the game, right?
Smothered Trevor. Trevor never had a chance.
Here's something, and this is something I pointed out, and I know you looked at me and said that as soon as Sheriff did that, because I've been harping on Sheriff for doing that. He did it again, and guess when he did it? The last play of the game, the interception that Trevor threw when he was trying to hit, I think was it Zay?
It was Zay Jones, yeah, down the sideline.
So he rushed that throw. He rushed that throw because he had a guy in his face. He had a guy in his face because guess what Sheriff did? The exact same thing you're talking about. He had the nose tackle on Fortner, just like what you're describing, and I think it was the safety came down, literally showed blitz. I mean, Sheriff could smell the man's breath. He's on the line. This isn't a delayed blitz. That's why he got to Trevor so fast. He comes unchecked. Sheriff helps Fortner double team I don't know if Sheriff thought the running back. I don't know. Maybe I need to go back and look. I don't remember where the running back was. I don't know if he was already split out wide. I don't remember. I just know Trevor was back there by himself, and that safety had him dead to rights, and Sheriff just didn't touch him at all, and that sealed that game for us. So I think you're fine on Shatley. I don't know what his contract is. He's definitely showed himself to be kind of what we sort of was the undercurrent of him, which is there's some issue with him where he can't quite break the starting lineup, and we've sort of seen that. Ben Barch returns. We've got to, in my mind, this offseason, I'm looking to the draft to replace Sheriff and Barch. We have to have guard play. Here's an interesting thing. What if we move Cam Robinson to left guard? I mean, I don't know if he'll want to. He's getting freaking paid. dude, move the left guard if we need you to move the left guard. That's what I tell them. You know, you're getting paid handsomely to do it. I don't know, for some reason, people are saying Little. I don't know why they don't think Little could play left guard. I guess that my point is we've got, if we re-sign Jawan Taylor, then we'll have Cam and Little. My point is like we see that there's a deficiency inside. Move one of those guys inside. And maybe Cam makes the most sense because he's pretty good at run blocking. He's pretty powerful guy, and his issue seems to be more the speed rushers on the outside. And so I don't know, something to think about.
I don't know, but please, don't put a square peg in a round hole. Please don't do that. Let's get away from that, please. I'm begging you, Caldwell. I'm begging you, Peterson. Stop it. Stop it. We don't want it no more. If we can see it and we're the fans, how the hell are you guys not seeing it? I don't understand that. It goes back. It's not rocket science. It's not.
It's not. Well,
go ahead.
That's the thing. I think
thought.
sometimes these coaches outcoach themselves, you know. It's not rocket science, you know.
Somebody's got to say something, right? Somebody's going to be like, wait, whoa. You know.
Yeah.
You would think. But anyway, yes, I want to re-sign our guys. And then I want to look to the draft to fortify wherever we can fortify. If the best player in the first round is some big old fat gnarly defensive tackle, boom, grab it. If it's some gnarly guard, boom, grab him. If it's a 4'2", 6'2" receiver, grab him. If it's the dude out of Notre Dame, that tight end, grab him. I don't care. Whoever we get, though, should be an impact player.
Yeah.
So, or you would like it to be an impact player. So.
Well, I think that we are going to see an offseason we haven't seen in a long time. That's my hope. Because here's the deal. If we re-sign the people that we have, we don't have holes going into the draft. That's a big thing. For me, it always has been, is exactly what you said. You draft players to back up the position so that maybe in their second year, you have them plug a hole.
Yep.
When you go into the offseason with a hole, and it also changes the way you draft. You know, it has to. It's human nature. If you know you need a corner, but the corners aren't the greatest, you tend to reach, you know, and you pass on the guy. Not only do you get the guy you should have never got on your team, but then you pass up the guy that you felt like you would have drafted otherwise, and he goes to somebody else and becomes a good player. And this is what we've been doing for, man, it feels like 2 decades now, I think.
Close,
in the off season, we'll release somebody prematurely a lot of times, go into the draft looking for his replacement, and that's just not how the good teams do it. You have to draft best available player within reason, have them come in, get acclimated as backups, you know, and then they emerge in camp as the guys that you can plug, that you can use, as opposed to everybody sees they're not the guy, and the coach has to come out and pretend that it isn't what you're seeing. It's like, right. No, we've been there before. And that's the thing. We have the opportunity now not to do that. Re-sign all your guys. That's a benefit. That's another benefit to re-signing all your guys, is it provides you this stability to go into the draft that you otherwise would not have. And then you can, like you said, a tight end. Just because you spend money on Evan Ingram doesn't mean you can't look to the future or change your philosophy and have 2 tight ends. I mean, how great would it be to have 2 dynamic tight ends in the red zone? Sub them in and out just constantly, you know, having that option for Trevor. We got to fortify that interior offensive line. We got to figure out Fortner. Someone's going to, I mean, I like Fortner, but he's got that issue where, man, if you go back I said this at the time when I was reviewing his Kentucky footage. The guy's got issues getting to the second level, man. He's really, really weak when he gets to the second level. He did that again. I heard Pete Prisco say that. I went back and watched, and he's dead on, man. There's that play, was that screen route to Evan Ingram, and man, Fortner comes out literally free, looks at a defender, and does nothing. And he literally doesn't do anything until he gets by him, and then he basically tries to block him in the back, and he's already between him and Ingram. Just get in front of the damn guy, man. And this is my hope is this guy figures that out. I don't understand how you're a center and you don't realize when you get to the second level, just move the guys out of the way. That's a guy in a red jersey. Move him out of the way. Like, you don't have to wait for anything. Just move him. Keep moving. Keep pushing people out of the way, and the playmakers behind you can have room to make plays. They'll adjust to whatever you do. I don't know what there's stuff like that needs to happen. The interior offensive line, man, if we can get that worked out, Scherf's going to be here, I guess. I hope he retires, if I'm being honest. I hope he retires. I don't like anything that I saw from Scherf. I mean, I know they show plays where he knocks people down and all that happens in games, man. He was a bad pickup for us this year. I hope it was injuries, but the problem is that was the MO coming in. He's an injured guy. He plays it, he would be out of the games all the time, miss games and stuff. But he was supposed to be good when he's in the games, man. He's right. Those three guys are right in front of Trevor. They need to pick that up. They need to figure that out in this offseason. And that's the one thing I really sign all your guys and get some rookies in here. Like you said, man, you can get some guards. You can get some rookie guards to come in here. No free agents. I don't want any more free agents. Get rookies in here. Teach them. Ben Barch will be back. Maybe another year. Get these guys to push these veterans and maybe replace them. That's my focus this offseason. I mean, is there anything that you can think of that it sounds like we're on the same page, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think we resign as many of our players. Obviously, we got to put a priority. What are the priority free agents versus the non-ones? We re-sign as many of the priority guys as we can afford. I think we let go of some of the guys who aren't going to be back anymore. Creel Griffin, we get again almost $14 million from letting him go. So we use that to try to. I think Agnew is also a free agent. He's not on this list. We bring Agnew back.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money you got set aside for special teams.
Yeah. No, you bring Agnew
but you
back.
Bring Agnew back.
No question.
So,
no question.
Yeah, the fumble doesn't bother me.
No. Everybody had their bad plays this year. It's like you can't blame. It happened at a bad time. He feels bad about it. I know he does. It is what it is. He
tweeted out an apology.
I know, yeah.
So dude, don't worry about it, man. Next time, catch the ball, secure it, and haul ass into the end zone. That's all we're asking.
And that hasn't been a thing for him this year. Yep. Here's something, man, and this is just wishful thinking on my part. Man, can we get James Robinson back, please? That's one thing, man. Get that guy back in this. Of course, I don't know, man. We didn't use it. ETN had a hell of a game when he was used. That's another thing. We didn't really use. Michael Hasty played really good. He had that one really good play, and he was good too. I don't know, man. I like Peterson's got to start running the ball more, I think.
I like our backs.
No, I do too.
It's not that I have, and I don't have anything against James Robinson. Truth is, we just don't have room. Would I take? Dude, I'd take him over Snoop Connor. Okay. But that's about it. And he's a free agent this year, so I'm not paying him free agent money.
Depends on. I mean, he basically.
Do you resign James Robinson over Marvin Jones?
Oh yes.
Dwayne Smoot.
Yes.
Okay, we completely disagree.
Well, Dewan Smoot.
Completely.
Well,
Yep.
here's Dewan Smoot's thing. First of all, I think you can have if you're creative with your salary cap and the contracts. I think you can sign a lot of these guys. I don't know what you're thinking that James Robinson's gonna garner in the market, but he's a running back, and running backs don't typically make that much money. I mean, the Giants just offered Saquon $12 million a year, and he turned it down. So if somebody's really looking for a running back, I mean, and that's Saquon Barkley there. So running backs are a dime a dozen, unfortunately, in this league. Unfortunately for them, but fortunately for us, what it does is you've got a guy who basically went to the Jets, and the Jets didn't even feel like they could use him. But my thought is like, what are we going to do? Are we going to draft another running back in the later rounds? I mean, we just did that, right? That's the guy we got rid of. So let's bring him back, and we don't have to use a draft pick. Is my thought.
To me, it all comes down to money. It all comes down to money, and I'm not wasting money.
What's JaMychal Hasty's contract?
I'm not wasting money. I think Hasty's better. And the only reason why I think Hasty's better is because Hasty's faster. Hasty has better hands. That's the only two reasons why I think Hasty's better.
Hey, go back and look. Hasty made some boneheaded plays this year that James Robinson would have never made. That's stuff that doesn't show up in the stats. You have to watch the film to see that.
Yeah, and the touchdown to Baltimore, which helped us win, is a catch that, guess what, James Robinson doesn't make.
James Robinson never had a problem catching the ball. I think you're forgetting how dynamic Robinson was.
We're going to table this because we'll go way over our time frame. I'm a no, you're an it. Yes, that's just the way it is.
I threw it out there as a wishful thinking thing, so I'm not dogmatic on, saying it's supposed to happen. But anyway, yeah, it's tabled. All right, well, so do you expect any coaching changes?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm of the same way.
Because we did well, but I don't think we did well enough for any of our assistants, like our coordinators, to go anywhere. So I think they stay, and I think everybody beneath them stays. And if I'm Doug Peterson, I try to keep them for continuity's sake. So now, if you want to get rid of somebody, I don't know who you would like. There's no position level that I seen that played so far above the X's and O's versus so far under it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be looking to have any turnover whatsoever. Free agents, coaching, none of it.
Yeah. No, if you're keeping Caldwell, I don't see why you get rid of anyone else. So.
Yep. That would be the one guy that I'm like, yeah, we need to talk.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. Anything you want to throw out before we call it?
Duval! That's what I want to throw out. Bye, guys. Thanks for listening.
Till next time.